So I wanted to wait to talk about this. I wanted the transfer window, the summer transfer window, to officially end. I wanted everything done, signed, delivered. Nothing else can change until the winter transfer window to speak on this. And I could say with confidence, I can really say with confidence now that Bayern, Bayern have killed their own summer transfer window. Not because of other teams, not because of the ridiculous prices, by the way, other teams in Europe have for their bum ass players. Bayern themselves killed their summer transfer window, and we're going to talk about it in this video. The transfer deadline day reaction, and just really underwhelming, really disappointing end to the transfer window, the summer transfer window this year for Bayern. And I honestly I feel bad for our fans. I feel bad for company, and I feel bad for the team that they did not get more backing. They did not get more players into the squad to help with the squad depth issues. I feel bad. And shout out to the Bayern View. Shout out to Liam. That guy did a 19, 20-hour stream covering the transfer deadline day. He just did a 20-hour stream for Bayern to produce this horse crap, this horse shit. And we're going to talk about it. So here are my slides, the Slides Master, YouTube Slides Master. Shout out to Imia Sanmia. The window's over. The players we went after, things went up and down. Some people came to the club, left, came back. We looked at players. Players were offered to Bayern in the end to end the summer transfer window. Nicholas Jackson is now confirmed as an FC Bayern player. Loan plus buy clause with a new element of obligation to buy included in the deal for 2026. Jackson has already agreed a 5-year deal at Bayern, 15 million euro loan fee. Listen, it's a good signing. Now the reason why it's a good signing, I think some people would look at this and kind of clown Bayern. They would look at it negatively. You really have to understand what Jackson is coming to be at Bayern. Nicholas Jackson is not coming to Bayern to start. He's not coming to Bayern with any hopes of being a starting player. I think Bayern understands that. The fans should understand that. Vincent Company is setting that expectation. Nicholas Jackson himself has to understand that he is coming off of a horrible season at Chelsea, an up and down time at Chelsea overall. To Bayern, he is being offered the privilege of playing at Bayern. We are giving him the number 11 jersey. He is being offered the privilege to come and be a Bayern Munich player. Nicholas Jackson is here for squad-related reasons. He is not here to be a starter. He is here to give Harry Kane a rest when Harry Kane needs a rest. He is here to come off the bench. He is not here to start in big Bundesliga games. He is not here to start in big Champions League games. He is not here to start in cup games. He is here to start in insignificant games. He is here to come off the bench. Now, establishing that baseline, it will be very hard for Nicholas Jackson. It's going to be very hard for this deal to be bad because although it's an obligation to buy for 2026, there are things littered in this contract where we don't actually have to buy him in 2026. That's what I like about this deal. It's a loan, and although it's an obligation, we are not required to sign him for 2026. I know it's a little bit counterintuitive, and if we were to sign him, he would be on a 5-year deal up till 2031 at Bayern. But listen, he's coming to be a squad player unless he does something incredible and he somehow regains the form and actually reaches the potential of Nicholas Jackson that we saw at Villarreal 3-4 years ago, then it's also a good deal for Bayern because if Nicholas Jackson is actually hitting his potential in a new environment under Vincent Kompany in the Bundesliga, right? Getting away from the toxic environment of the English Premier League, the toxic environment of Chelsea, all of the baggage that comes from playing in the Premier League and for a big team in the Premier League like Chelsea, if he rediscovers that form and lives up to that potential that we saw at Villarreal, then Bayern have the opportunity to buy Nicholas Jackson in 2026, obligation to buy, and I believe the transfer fee would be about 60 million euros. So it's really a win-win for Bayern. We don't have to buy him in 1 year. Yes, we have a loan fee, and I think we're covering his wages for the season. That's cool. And if things don't work out to the point where we want to buy him, I guarantee you Nicholas Jackson will be a good bench player for Bayern. I guarantee you, because the way we play, the way we dominate games, the amount of chances that are created for strikers, the amount of quality that is in the attack that Nicholas Jackson can potentially be carried by if he isn't playing at his best, Nicholas Jackson will be a good squad player for Bayern this season. And I think the deal itself is very well done. Although it was a scramble at the end, it is what it is. He's here. At least it's a player added to the squad. Now, I would be on here doing a riot stream. I would be on here doing a riot video cursing everyone at the club if we brought in 0 signings, but we brought in a player. Nicholas Jackson, welcome to Bayern. I want him to do well. He is a good player. If you don't watch Nicholas Jackson, he's skilled. Nicholas Jackson on the ball, he's a very talented dribbler. He's very talented on the ball. Passing, and finishing is just the real reason why Nicholas Jackson had such an up and down time at Chelsea. Why Chelsea are happy to let him go and we're trying to sell him on a permanent deal this summer. Finishing, he's not clinical. Now, the issue with Bayern right now, the number one issue with this Bayern team is being clinical. So maybe he's going to contribute to that, but it is what it is. We'll see. He's not coming to play in the big games. He's going to be a bench player. So it is what it is. Nicholas Jackson, welcome to Bayern. Let's see how you do, bro. Let's see how you do after the international break. And if you didn't know, if you're living under a rock, another player that I was really pushing for to end the transfer window, and he was offered to us, was Ademola Lookman. Now, written here, Bayern's offer for Ademola Lookman yesterday, which was Saturday, was a €5 million loan fee and €28 million option to buy. Bayern's bid for Lookman came after encouragement from his entourage, who offered him to the club. Lookman was offered to Bayern. However, the offer didn't convince Atalanta, who only wanted to sell him permanently. Lookman's camp are still offering him around and trying to find a club for him before this evening's deadline, blah, 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 blah. The deal ended up not going through with Bayern. We didn't want to pay the permanent fee of €40 million, an absolute bargain for an Ademola Lookman, an absolute bargain for Ademola Lookman, and we only wanted to bring him on loan. This deal did not happen. Ademola Lookman will not be a Bayern player. He is staying at Atalanta. He did not get the move. And this one's frustrating because the thing is, Ademola Lookman is in his prime. He is a clinical player. You saw that at Atalanta. He has an affinity for big games. He beat, not Atalanta. He beat himself with a hat-trick in the Europa League final, Leverkusen. The Leverkusen team that went undefeated in the Bundesliga. He scored a hat-trick on them in the Europa League final to win the game for Atalanta. This is the level of play we're talking about. But Bayern, who we will get to talking about the whole aspect of only being advised to sign players on loan, we're trying to get him on loan, blinded by, I don't think they realized you can simply just sign him right now, and Lookman's wage wouldn't have been too crazy. You could have signed a top quality player right now for €40 million, an absolute bargain. Summer 2025, a window where we saw Isak just signed for £150 million. Florian Wirtz signed for £120 million. Voltemada signed for £85 million. In a window where we saw deals like this happen, sure, those are quality players, but extremely retarded prices. Lookman was available for €40 million, and Bayern, they saw that and they said, nah, we want to get him on loan. I mean, idiots. I mean, absolute fucking idiots. This was a deal that was there to be done. He was offered to Bayern. We could have just said, fuck the loan deal. We will buy you and we'll pay the fee that Atalanta want, €40 million, and we'll bring him to the club. Now, people might counter this and say, oh, well, Inter tried to go in for him for a €45 million, €50 million bid, and I understand that. But the reason why Atalanta rejected that is because they actually want to be competitive in Serie A. They don't want to give their player, their best player, to their league rival in Inter Milan. That's why Inter Milan was rejected. If Bayern came with that 40 million euro, they are handing Lookman off to Bayern, accepting that fee. And he would be a Bayern player right now, but he is not, because this club wanted to only sign loan players. And by the way, the decision to only sign players on loan was just made 5 days ago. 5 days ago, 6 days ago. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. And to end the window, this is how our window this summer ended up looking. And the frustrating thing, the reason why Bayern killed their own transfer window is because they had the opportunity to make this a perfect window. A lot of things that we were aiming to do in the summer transfer window this year were achieved. Let's focus on the outgoings. We got rid of Matthias Tell, got a 35 million fee for him. We got rid of Kingsley Coman, one of our wingers that we desperately wanted to get sold because of his high wages. 25 million. We got rid of Paul Vanner, a kid that we realized did not have the mentality for Bayern. Adam Asnu did not have the mentality or patience to play at Bayern. João Paulinho is out on loan. Cool. Khatzig, gone. Vidovic, gone. Brian Zaragoza, gone. Peretz, gone. Leroy Sané, another one of the three stooges, gone to Galatasaray. Eric Dyer, this was an L. Letting Eric Dyer go for me was an L, but it is what it is. Thomas Muller, a guy who just was not there, was not good enough for this Bayern team anymore, gone. Ibrahimovic, gone. We made a lot of sensible departures this summer. In terms of departures, we basically had a perfect window. I think the only player that a lot of Bayern players wanted to see gone are players like Goretzka and Serge Gnabry. But outside of that, we got rid of a lot of dead weight at this club. So you see this long list, right? Very long list of players. And by the way, Kusiasare ended up not going out on loan. He did not go to Fulham. So he's actually still part of the team. So you see this long list of departures, a lot of dead weight cleared from this club. The only player I disagree with us letting go, Eric Dyer. Eric Dyer. That's the only one. Everyone else, I'm fully on board. You look at the incoming. So all this dead weight gone. How many players is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 players, not including Kusiasare. 16 players out, only 4 players in. Luis Diaz, Jonathan Tah, Tom Bischoff, and Nicholas Jackson on loan. Nicholas Jackson on loan. It's not enough. The squad is thin. It's not enough, and the squad is thin. And, we've actually made money in the transfer window this summer. 88.8, 98.95. We made about, 10.15 million euros, actually. We're up 10.15 million euros. 10,150,000 euros from the summer transfer window. So we hit a lot of our goals. We spent sensibly, right? Obviously, Wirtz was a huge target. He didn't come, but we spent sensibly after we pivoted from Wirtz. And we got rid of a lot of dead weight. And the important thing about these departures is we got rid of a lot of wage. We got rid of a lot of wage. And that was one of the goals for Max Eberl and this board. Bring down that goddamn wage bill. And we did. So credit. But this incomings list for such a expansive outgoings list, this is too little. This is too little. And the reason why this is frustrating and the reason why Bayern killed their own summer transfer window, this is the big reason. This is where I want to focus on that topic, on that statement. We started this summer off very well. Before the transfer window even opened, Max Eberl already completed the signings of Tom Bischoff and Jonathan Tah. So before we even started this window, before the transfer window was officially open and active, 2 players were done. We were bringing German international Jonathan Tah, one of the best center backs in the world. Great signing. Tom Bischoff, underrated, top young German midfielder. Very happy. I'd say all Bayern fans were positive about these signings. And then in the actual summer transfer window, after we made all these departures, we only brought in 2 players over the course of 8 to 10 weeks. Only 2 players. And that's what's disappointing because let's not forget, guys, we were willing to spend 120 to 130 million euros on Florian Wirtz, and we were planning to spend and bring in other players, including Florian Wirtz. So we probably were going into the summer with a war chest of 150 to 170 million euros ready to spend. A good war chest. It's not compared to Liverpool's, who just spent 500 million pound in one summer. It doesn't compare to that, but it's a decent war chest to play with. We ended up spending 70 million of that on Luis Diaz. Whoopsies. 70 million of that on Luis Diaz. And then what else? Nicholas Jackson is alone. So how about the other 100 million we were probably ready to spend? How can we not take that money we were willing to spend and bring in a guy in his prime like Ademola Lookman for 40 million euros? Why was that not done? Why? We started the transfer window off so strong, but we tapered out and we left so many things so late. So many things so late. Why are we scrambling for Nicholas Jackson? Why are we scrambling for Ademola Lookman? Why are we scrambling for guys like Openda and etc.? Why are we scrambling for them at the end of the window? Why is Max Eberl not active a month ago on deals like this? Why? What's the reason? Really, what's the reason? Once Kingsley Coman left this team a couple of weeks ago, why were we not active then? Why are we left scrambling? Why? And we'll get to that why. And now, after such a chaotic, you have to say, this was a chaotic summer transfer window. We had a lot of promise with the Jonathan Tom Bischoff and Jonathan Tah. We started off strong. But it all just fell flat in the end. We ruined our own transfer window. And now, there is growing concern within the supervisory board that Max Eberl could resign by himself after this chaotic transfer window. This was the impression after his appearance last week at the board meeting. The general consensus is that Eberl is prepared for a departure. If that happens, the executive board would be left with only one member, Jan Christian Driessen, as CFO Michael Diederich is leaving the club, and no successor has been found yet. For Herbert Heiner, as chairman of the supervisory board, this situation would be a disaster. Now, there's a little, I feel like most of the Bayern fan base is Eberl out. People are disappointed with him, but I want people to think a little. Really digest and think about the situation. Think about it. Max Eberl. He started our summer transfer window off hot. Tah and Bischoff, as we talked about in the last slide. Tah and Bischoff, before the window even opened, we were getting off to a very hot start. So Eberl at that time doing a great job. Then to begin the transfer window, it was all about securing Wirtz. And from what I understand, Max Eberl was not that involved in securing Wirtz. That was mainly the work of Uli Hoeneß for years trying to convince Florian Wirtz and his father to come to Bayern. So Uli Hoeneß, one of our legends in the background, pulling the strings at this club, was banking on the fact that Florian Wirtz would come to Bayern. But to everyone's surprise, in the end, Florian Wirtz chose Liverpool. Florian Wirtz chose Liverpool. And the club had to saddle up, put their big boy pants on, and pivot from that. That was going to be our marquee signing this summer, but we had to pivot. And we're linked to players throughout the summer. We're trying to get a lot of departures done. I'm happy with Max Eberl. He got a lot of these departures done. I'm happy with it. We got rid of a lot of dead weight. That credit has to be given. And when Eberl is trying to sign players, helping out the team, trying to bring players in, he's left scrambling at the end of the summer window. Now, this is two people's faults. On one hand, it is Max Eberl's fault. On the other hand, Uli Hoeneß. Uli Hoeneß is also at fault here, on the other hand. So you have Max Eberl. Now, he's left scrambling at the end of the transfer window. He's only allowed to make loan signings. There's not that many options out there. He secures Nicholas Jackson. Great. But he's trying to secure the signature of a top player like Ademola Lookman, but he's limited by the fact that he's only allowed to sign loan players. Cool. But why is that? Because Uli Hoeneß, that dementia-ridden Uli Hoeneß, things are now working up here. Uli, your brain. Are you a lobotomite? Were you lobotomized in your sleep? Why are you restricting him with only loan signings? Why? If Max Eberl did not have this loan restriction, Ademola Lookman would be a Bayern player right now. But Uli Hoeneß restricting Max Eberl to only getting loan players, blocking the moves of multiple players this summer. Quality players. For example, blocking a move for Xavi Simons. Uli Hoeneß. Xavi Simons is a quality player. Xavi Simons probably would have came to Bayern if Uli Hoeneß did not block the move that Eberl wanted to make for him. What are you doing, Uli? We need to bolster this team. Uli Hoeneß blocks that move. And he kept on making Max Eberl's job this summer harder and harder. Blocking moves, pulling the strings from behind. Didn't like this player, didn't like that player, prefers this player who's categorically like maybe worse compared to a Xavi Simons. Just not making any sense. Are you lobotomized, Uli Hoeneß? Are you freaking lobotomized? Who took a spike and drilled it into your skull? Let me know. I'll get that get back. I'll throw a 1-2. I'll get that revenge. Uli Hoeneß. So I do feel bad for Max Eberl because he is dealing with an idiot. He's dealing with pretty harsh conditions as a sporting director, the guy in charge of bringing in players to this team. He was dealt a pretty rough hand given very little resources and support from the higher-ups, the legends of this club that pull all the strings from behind the scenes. But on the other hand, where I don't feel bad for Max Eberl is after Wirtz, we only signed Luis Diaz. Throughout that entire period, he was not necessarily active. He was trying to get deals done. He was talking to players all around Europe, right? But he was not actively getting deals done. He was not being proactive. He will come out in the media and say some stupid, cryptic, media train messages like, oh, we're happy with the team. We don't think we'll do any more business, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. This, like, just coming out and saying he's happy with the team. We don't need more players. I'm not going to sign anyone else. Blah, 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 blah. But then, in the end, the last week of the transfer window, you realize, actually, this squad needs more players. So you left yourself only a week to scramble and get players. And in that week you scramble to get players, the higher-ups, the Uli Hoeneß's and everyone, restrict you by only getting loan players. And in the end, you're only able to bring in a Nicolas Jackson after the Luis Diaz signing, and you're not able to secure the likes of people like Ademola Lookman, Openda, Xavi Simons, top quality players. And in the end, this is how our transfer window ends. This is how our transfer window ends. It's just tough. I do think Max Eberl was dealt a really weird, chaotic hand this summer. This summer transfer window was peak FC Hollywood. You know that's what people call us in Germany. This was a peak FC Hollywood summer transfer window for Bayern. I mean, this is some of the most FC Hollywood shit I've seen in years. Years. Probably the most FC Hollywood shit since Nagelsmann's sacking, let's be honest. Since Nagelsmann's sacking and the whole Tuchel shit, this is FC Hollywood. We've reached another peak of FC Hollywood. This is another Avengers trilogy movie series right here this summer. The ups and downs, the bullshit, the stupid statements, the clashes between the board, and just total disarray. And even with all that going on, I still think Eberl did some good work this summer. Brought in Luis Diaz, brought in Jonathan Tah and Tom Bischoff before the transfer window even started. Ended up securing Nicolas Jackson on loan. And got rid of a lot of dead weight in this team. That we wanted. Don't forget. That we wanted. We wanted a lot of these players gone. We wanted to free up the wage bill. He did that. And he brought in some quality players, but it just wasn't enough. And he himself is to blame for that, for not being proactive throughout the entire course of the summer, ever since that Wirtz deal collapse. But people like Uli Hoeneß and co. are also massively at fault for limiting him towards the end of the transfer window with dumb fucking loan signings only. Dumb fucking loan signings. So it's so disappointing. It's so disappointing because we were really gearing ourselves up here for a top transfer window, and we fell short. We fell short big time. So That's all I gotta say on it. That's all I gotta say on that. Bayern killed their own summer transfer window. That's my transfer deadline day reaction. At least it's all over. This is the squad we have. Let's depend on youth. Let's see what Nicholas Jackson does. Let's bring these injury fuck players back. Tom Bischoff, Alfonso Davies, Jamal Musiala, Hiroki Ito, etc. Let's bring them back. Let's see how strong the team is when everyone's back, and let's move. Because even with such an up and down transfer window like this, I'm still expecting more trophies this year. I'm expecting at least the league and cup double. I am expecting just at least league and cup double this year. That is the next step for this Bayern team. That is the next step. So we move, we'll pick ourselves up. Company has a lot of time to think with the 1.5 week, 2 week international break coming up this next week or two. So let's see how this team looks after the international break is done. It's been your boy Okage. I'll see you guys in the next one. Mia San Mia. Peace.